The Boruto manga series returns with a bang as we finally delve a little bit more into Kawaki's ridiculous and disturbing backstory. Hello my friends, it's time to take a look at another chapter of the Boruto manga series. It seems like this one was delayed by a ridiculous degree, and considering how interesting the story is actually getting right now, it's always getting harder to wait for the new chapter. And this one right here was pretty damn fantastic. It was also really cheesy and could probably be easily transformed into an 80s TV sitcom. I mean, you can imagine it, right? Boruto and Kawaki, roommates who don't get along. It's wacky, they butt heads, but they're gonna be friends at the end of the day. To be perfectly honest with you guys, a lot of the scenes in this chapter involved Boruto and Kawaki just sort of rubbing each other the wrong way, in the most ridiculous and stereotypical of fashions. I know you've all seen that scene in movies and TV where the two characters wake up in the morning and they fight to see who's going to go to the bathroom first. Well, this turns into like a couple of pages in this chapter, and I don't think I've ever seen this much toilet humor from the Naruto series, although, hilariously, this is not the first time that we've had a comedic scene involving Naruto on the toilet. There are a number of scenes in this episode watching him sit on the porcelain throne, and it's played to really great comedic effect as Boruto and Kawaki are constantly fighting with one another, even going as far as to activating their karma where those seals start to go over their entire body. Luckily, Naruto's able to create a clone while he's on the crapper and manages to actually stop them. After all of this fighting, though, it does lead to an interesting conversation where we start to learn a little bit more about the powers of Kawaki. There's still a big debate as to how the karma actually came about, with Boruto actually sort of gaining it from defeating Momoshi Otsutsuki, and then you have Kawaki, who seems to have obtained it in a completely different fashion, and in an even creepier and weirder looking way. Apparently we get to go into the past and we get to see Jigen and Amato as they're doing these experiments on all of these young children who are hanging out inside of these giant bags, which are suspended over these massive pots filled with black goo. Now this black goo, this is like the secret sauce on the burger, if you will. This is actually what brings forth the power of karma. In fact, a lot of this actually comes from Jigen himself. He actually seems to have this seal on his body, which he can actually activate, very similar to a curse seal. And when it actually starts to cover his body, he looks freaking just metal as hell. And he's able to dip his hands into these pots and imbue that power into that, which slowly siphons up into the body of these children, and if they have the mental and physical fortitude to withstand it, they end up obtaining that power. We get to see this happen to two kids, one of them being Kawaki, and the other one being a very unlucky kid who gets killed in a very violent fashion in what might be one of the most disturbing scenes of the entire franchise. And considering how freaking happy-go-lucky Boruto has been, seeing a scene like this honestly was pretty shocking, and you can just imagine the horror on Kawaki's face as this substance slowly made its way up to him, only for him to discover that he survived. He was so traumatized by these events that he was actually wanting to be killed in this moment. He didn't want to suffer anymore, and now he's constantly carrying around this curse, the curse of Kara. Now, as for why Jigen, Amato, and them are injecting all of these kids with this weird, freaky curse, it's still a complete and utter mystery why they're doing this. They still claim it's because they need a vessel. I don't know what this could mean. We've seen this term thrown around like a million times in this franchise. Orochimaru's talked about vessels for people that he's eventually going to possess. Are these guys trying to do something different, or does vessel actually mean something else? Why is this so important to their cause? What's the deal with Kara? They're still, without a doubt, the most mysterious villains of the entire series. They're really becoming even more interesting than Akatsuki, if only for the fact that we still don't really know anything about them. Their history, their motives, why they're doing this is one of the best things about this arc right here, and I love that they're kind of going all J.J. Abrams with it by just sort of just showing us a little bit, teasing us, and then saying, ah, fuck you, you're not getting any answers. Continue to read. See you next month. It's brilliant, and I absolutely love it, and it's already making this the most distinctive arc of this series, and maybe of the entire franchise. The other reason that Boruto is also so pissed at Kawaki is because apparently he broke one of Himawari's vases, and when you mess with his little sister, he gets super pissed off. He demands that he do something to make the situation better, and Kawaki's like, well, I'll just go get another vase, but even then, Boruto's not satisfied. Basically, this is going to be more of an excuse to show Naruto actually hanging out with Kawaki, which I think is going to be one of the most important things for the development of this character as we go on further into the show, and is probably going to put sort of a distance between Naruto and Boruto, actually. Especially because now Naruto and Boruto just became really buddy-buddy and chummy. They're father and son who like to go fishing on the weekends, and then suddenly we have this kid who just moved in who's going to be stealing all of his thunder and all of his time, and I can see a lot of resentment coming from Boruto in this moment. So what's the rundown on this chapter of Boruto? Pretty solid stuff right here. I honestly did enjoy this chapter. I was hoping for maybe a little bit more with Akara just because of how much I just want to know about those guys, but it was important that we finally saw a chapter of Boruto and Kawaki interacting officially for the very first time, and like I said, it's pretty much exactly what you would expect. It played out like a ridiculous comedy, but there was still a lot of tension between these characters, which I think is little by little going to boil over as this arc does continue, but there's a lot of little things I like here, mostly just the visuals and the atmosphere. It's very different than anything that we've actually seen from the franchise. Jigen, Amato, Kara, their entire group, the creepy cave with the giant black pots, all that stuff is just so distinctive for this arc right here and plays out more like a crazy mad scientist experiment, unlike the more mystical ninja stuff that we've actually seen from the franchise. It's like they took some of the stuff that Orochimaru did in the original series, and they're like, nah, creep it up by 11, let's just crank it, let's just go crazy with it this time, and that's exactly what they're doing with this chapter right here. Again, it's still an absolute pain that we have to wait a month for every single one of these chapters, as they're just really, really great at this point, and I think it's actually working to the benefit of the series. It gives them more time to work on a solid story, it lets them focus on the art, which little by little I think gets better with every single chapter, and just, it allows us to like these characters a lot more instead of them constantly being shoved in our face every week. It also feels that the progression just feels more natural, there's less filler. You could argue that this chapter had a lot of filler, but I call it development, and I really loved it in this chapter. Yeah, what more can I say? I loved this one right here. It's a 5 out of 5. I'd love to get all of your thoughts about this chapter of Boruto if you guys had a chance to read it. Tell me all about that in the comment section below, and what you hope to see from the rest of the Boruto manga series. Thank you guys for watching this review. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, stay down, baby.